Sabah state elections set for the 26th of September. Teenager jailed for murder of 23 individuals in Tafiz fire. Welcome to News at 10 with me, Brendan Lepol. The Election Commission today has set the 26th of September for the Sabah state election. Its Deputy Chairman, Dr. Azmi Sharum, said there will be a 2-week campaigning period from the 12th to the 26th of September.
Bagi maksud menjalankan pilihan raya umum Dewan Undangan bagi Negeri Sabah ke-16 ini, SPR telah menetapkan tarikh-tarikh penting seperti yang berikut. Hari penamaan calon 12 September 2020, hari Sabtu. Hari mengundi awal 22 September 2020, hari Selasa. Hari mengundi 26 September 2020, hari Sabtu. Tempoh berkempen yang ditetapkan adalah 14 hari bermula selepas pengisytiharan calon-calon yang bertanding sehingga pukul 11.59 malam 25 September 2020.
Dr. Azmi said that 1,124,598 voters will be eligible to vote on the 26th of September. He said the EC is expecting a voter turnout of 70%, taking into account outstation voters who will not be able to vote without the postal voting service. On a related note, the Kota Kinabalu High Court has set the 21st of August to decide whether the judiciary is authorized to review the Yang Dipertua of Sabah's TYT consents for the dissolution of the State Legislative Assembly. The date was set by Judicial Commissioner Leonard David Shim after hearing the oral submission for 4 hours from Sabah Attorney General Brendan Keith Soh and lawyer Tengku Fuad Tengku Ahmad, who represented former Chief Minister Tan Sri Musa Aman. Brendan, who represented the state government, said they are maintaining that the decision made by Tun Juha Mahiruddin was valid under the condition and that there were no restrictions for the Election Commission to continue with election preparations. In his oral submission, he said that this is a non-justiciable decision and not suitable for the judiciary to question the prerogative of the TYT to dissolve the State Assembly. He said that Malaysia subscribes to a clear separation of executive, legislative and judiciary powers that do not encroach into each other's domain. Meanwhile, more than 25 Sabah assemblymen who filed for the judicial review were present at the court complex today, which was monitored by the police to ensure that safety and SOP compliance. Previously, on the 30th of July, Chief Minister Datuk Seri Shafie Apdal announced for the dissolution of the State Legislative Assembly, effective immediately to pave way for a state election within 60 days after given consent by Tun Juhar. However, on the 4th of August, Tan Sri Musa and 32 other assemblymen filed for a judicial review of that decision. The Kuala Lumpur High Court today ordered a teenager who was charged with murder for the death of 23 people in a fire at Pusat Tafiz Darul Quran, Iti Fakia, almost 3 years ago to be detained at the pleasure of the Yang Di-Pertuan Agong after finding him guilty of the offence. Judge Dato' Azman Abdullah meted out the sentence on the teenager, who is now 19 years old, after finding that the defence had failed to raise reasonable doubts against the 23 murder charges. The boy was 16 when the offence was committed. Dato' Azman said since the teenager was still a juvenile when the offence was committed, he had applied Section 97, subsection 1 of the Child Act 2001 to sentence him. He noted that it is up to the pleasure of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong to determine the terms and condition of the teenager's detention from time to time. According to the amended charge, the teenager, together with another individual who had not been identified, was charged with murdering and causing the death of the 23 inmates at the Tafiz Centre at Jalan Kramat Hujung, Kampung Datuk Kramat, Wangsa Maju between 4:15 a.m. and 6:45 a.m. on the 14th of September 2017. He was charged with 23 counts of murder each, framed under Section 302 of the Penal Code, read together with Section 34 of the same law, which provides the mandatory death sentence upon conviction. However, Section 97, subsection 1 of the Child Act 2001 states that a death sentence shall not be pronounced or recorded against a person convicted of an offence if the child is under the age of 18 and in lieu of the death sentence as provided under Section 97, subsection 2 of the same law. The court shall order the person to be detained at the pleasure of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Former Felda Chairman Tan Sri Mohammad Isa Samad, in his defence in the High Court today, denied receiving 3 million ringgit in 9 transactions from his then Special Political Officer Muhammad Zahid Mat Arif over the purchase of Merdeka Palace Hotel and Suites, MPHS, in Sarawak in 2014. Tan Sri Mohammad Isa said he never discussed or asked Muhammad Zahid about the purchase. According to Tan Sri Muhammad Isa, he said he never instructed Muhammad Zahid to ask Haji Ikhwan, Gagasan Abadi Properties Sendirian Berhad board member Ikhwan Zaidil, to reward him for helping to approve the purchase of MPHS. He said this when reading out his statement on the first day of his defence trial involving 9 corruption charges. Tan Sri Muhammad Isa told the court that Muhammad Zahid only brought documents whenever he came to the office. Tan Sri Muhammad Isa was appointed Felda Investment Corporation Sendirian Berhad FICSB chairman on the 2nd of July 2013 when FICSB was first established by Felda and was also a member of the board of FICSB, but he resigned on the 25th of January 2017 for years in both positions. He is facing 9 counts of dishonestly receiving gratification for himself in cash totaling 3.09 million ringgit from Ikhwan through Muhammad Zahid as gratification for helping to approve the purchase of the hotel by FICSB for 160 million ringgit. Deputy Public Prosecutor Afzal Nizam Abdul Aziz prosecuted. The hearing is before Judge Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali. The Ipoh Sessions Court today set the 8th of September to mention the case involving YouTuber S. Pavitra's husband M. Sugu was charged with possession of offensive weapon in public and causing injury to the women. Judge Norashima Khalid set the date following a request by Deputy Public Prosecutor Liana Zawani Muhammad Radzi for Pavitra, 28, to write an official letter for the prosecution to not proceed with the case against her husband. The YouTuber was given until the 8th of September to submit the letter. Sugu, a former estate worker in Sungai Siput, was alleged to have assaulted Pavitra, 28, using a mobile phone and a sickle, which caused injuries to her lips, left cheek and right arm at the parking lot of Raja Permaisuri Bainan Hospital, HRPB, here between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. on the 21st of July. The charge under Section 324 of the Penal Code and read together with Section 326A of the Penal Code carries a jail term of up to 10 years or a fine or whipping or with any 2 of such punishments upon conviction. Following the incident, Pavitra lodged a police report at the Sungai Senam police station but withdrew it last 22nd July. Sugu was also charged with carrying a sickle at a parking area at Raja Permaisuri Bainan Hospital, HRPB, at about 6 p.m. on the 21st of July. The offence under Section 6, subsection 1 of the Corrosive and Explosive Substances and Offensive Weapons Act 1958 provides an imprisonment for up to 10 years if found guilty. Liana, when met by reporters after the proceeding, said the prosecution would refer the case to the State Prosecution Director after receiving the letter from Pavitra, represented by lawyers S. Sundarajan. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin and all members of the government's administration are committed to bringing the country back to normal after being affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. In making the vow before Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah at the investiture of the federal awards, honours and medals in conjunction with the King's birthday at Istana Melawati today, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said the fight against COVID-19 is not over. Apart from the government's effort, he said Malaysia's success in controlling the spread of COVID-19 during the recovery phase was partly due to the awareness, attitude and practice of every citizen of the country.
Bersama anggota pentadbiran negara komited untuk membawa negara kembali kepada keadaan normal di mana rakyat bebas bergerak, perindustrian dan perniagaan berjalan dengan lancar, hasil pertanian dan komoditi dapat dituai dan dijual, anak-anak kembali ke sekolah atau universiti untuk belajar, aktiviti sukan dan riadah dapat dilaksanakan dan sebagainya.
For that, the Premier said the government would give its focus on the implementation of programs and projects that would benefit first and foremost the people and the country. At the same time, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said security control to protect the country from all threats, either domestic or foreign, will continue to be strengthened in line with the King's decree on the importance of defending the country's sovereignty. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah today expressed hope that the government will continue implementing more people well-being programs for the benefit of the people. Al-Sultan Abdullah said he greatly appreciated the various efforts and bold steps that have been and will be taken by the government to protect the safety and well-being of the people. Moving forward, His Majesty also decreed for the people to stay united in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic and expressed his pride in seeing the solidarity of the multiracial people through the various volunteer works undertaken in helping the country to face the pandemic.
Yang bakal kita tempuhi bukanlah masa untuk mengadu domba perkara yang remeh maupun mencetus sengketa dalam pentas pertarungan yang hanya mengundangkan musibah pada rakyat jelata. Sebaliknya, kita hendaklah maju melangkah ke hadapan di atas landasan solidariti yang kukuh di antara kerajaan beta dengan rakyat jelata, tanpa mengira bangsa dan agama maupun fahaman politik.
His Majesty said that he was aware that the COVID-19 pandemic is not over yet and that it has caused a difficult situation and grief to the people, and the country itself had gone through various bitter challenges as a result of the pandemic. The King further expressed hope that the people will continue to persevere to go through difficult times that nobody have experienced before. Meanwhile, Health Director General Dato Dr. Noor Hisham was among the list of individuals bestowed the Darjah Panglima Setia Mahkota PSM Award, which carries the title Tan Sri. The honours were conferred in conjunction with His Majesty Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah's 61st birthday during the 2020 Federal Awards at Istana Melawati, Putrajaya. The ceremony was initially to be held on the 8th of June, but was postponed to today due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Also present was Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Hajah Aziza Amina Maimuna Iskandaria. According to Dr. Noor Hisham, the award is not a personal achievement, but a celebration for all frontliners, especially the Ministry of Health staff. Leading the list of receivers were Chief Justice Tan Sri Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat and University Technology Mara UiTM Pro-Chancellor Tan Sri Dr. Arshad Ayub, who were bestowed the Sri Setia Mahkota SSM award carrying the title Tun. 4 other individuals received the Panglima Mangku Negara PMN award, also carrying the title Tan Sri. They are Chief Secretary to the Government Datuk Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali, Attorney General Tan Sri Idris Harun, Chief of Defence Forces General Tan Sri Afendi Buang, and Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Bador. 31 other individuals were also awarded titles and medals today. Malaysia recorded 12 new cases of COVID-19 today, bringing the total number of cases to 9,212. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah in a statement today explained that of the 12 new cases, 2 were imported while 10 were local transmission cases. Explaining further, Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham said the 2 imported cases were foreigners who returned from Syria and the Philippines. He said all 10 local transmissions involved Malaysians, with 9 of them from the Tawa and Sala clusters in Kedah, while the other one was from a symptomatic screening in Sungai Buloh Hospital. Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham also reported that another 17 COVID-19 patients were discharged from hospital, bringing the total cumulative discharge cases to 8,876. He said the number of active cases in the country stands at 211, with 8 of them being treated in the intensive care unit ICU and 2 require the use of ventilators. The number of COVID-19 related deaths remain at 125, with no new death reported today. A total of 286 individuals were arrested for violating the Recovery Movement Control Order, RMCO. Senior Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said of that, 242 individuals were issued compounds, while another 44 were remanded. In a statement today, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said among the offences committed that breach MCO regulations include operating unlicensed karaoke centres, activities that fail to adhere to the SOPs, activities involving large crowds that hindered adherence to social distancing, for breaching the Home Surveillance Order HSO, and for not wearing face masks in public areas. He said the offences were detected during 64,802 checks conducted nationwide by the Compliance Operations Task Force led by the Royal Malaysia Police. He said the checks were made at markets, restaurants, small traders, factories, banks and government offices. On border security, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said 53 roadblocks were conducted yesterday, where 19,355 vehicles were checked. A man's ruse in a bid to avoid detection by the authorities by packing 16.42 kilogram of methamphetamine in herbal tea packaging was exposed when he was nabbed by the police on Saturday. Perak Deputy Police Chief Datuk Goh Boon Keng said the 36-year-old sundry shop worker in Kedah was detained in Jalan Medan Ipoh by a team from State Narcotics Crime Investigation Department at 9:30 p.m. According to Dato' Goh, the drugs worth 656,800 ringgit were found packed in 15 herbal tea packets in a bag carried by the suspect during his arrest. Briefing reporters at the Perak Police Contingent Headquarters today, he said police believe the drugs were to be sold around Perak, especially in Ipoh. He said police also confiscated a Honda car worth 70,000 ringgit used by the suspect. Dato' Goh said the suspect has previous drug-related criminal records and could be involved with a syndicate. The suspect is being remanded for 7 days starting yesterday, and the case is investigated under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. The offence carries a mandatory death sentence by hanging if convicted. A Vietnamese fisherman died after being shot by a member of Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency MMEA. Kelantan Maritime Director, Maritime Captain Muhammad Nur Sham Azmawi Yaakob said the incident happened as the MMEA personnel tried to defend themselves after 2 Vietnamese fishermen boats rammed into the MMEA patrol boat and even threw diesel bombs at them. Captain Muhammad Nur Sham explained that during the incident, the MMEA personnel fired several warning shots after the Vietnamese boat rammed into the MMEA boat and threw diesel bombs at them. He said the MMEA personnel had to fire several shots to defend themselves and hit one of the fishermen.
membaling bom-bom yang disyaki dibuat daripada petrol dan diesel ke atas bot maritim Malaysia semasa kami cuba untuk menaiki bot mereka. Orang-orang mereka telah ditempatkan di tempat yang tinggi di dalam bot berkenaan untuk membaling bom-bom yang disyaki petrol dan diesel.
He said the incident happened at 11:40 last night, about 81 nautical miles from the waters of Tok Bali, Pasir Putih. He added that the body of the deceased was brought to Tengku Anis Hospital for further action. The remaining suspects were detained under Section 6, Subsection 1, Subsection C of the Immigration Act 1959-63 for not having valid identification and Section 15, Subsection 1, Subsection A of the Fisheries Act 1985 for not having permit to catch fish. The case is also investigated under Section 307 and 186 of the Penal Code. Still to come, Pulau Pinang halts medical tourists after arrivals from Indonesia. Pulau Pinang has barred entry by overseas visitors seeking medical treatment until it finalizes new health and safety procedures on medical tourism in light of the coronavirus crisis. Chief Minister Chow Kon Yeow today said authorities have toughened curbs on movement in some parts of the island over the weekend as new infections emerged after more than 3 months with no cases. In a statement, the state government said 3 Indonesian patients had arrived by special flights last Friday to be treated at private hospitals, 2 victims of cancer and 1 in need of immediate treatment. Announcing the ban, Chow said the state government deeply regrets that it was not informed of the sudden arrival of the patients. The state did not say if the 3 had tested positive for the virus. However, Pulau Pinang authorities were told the patient had followed all the standard operating procedures. The ban will stay until the Health Ministry finalizes procedures to deal with healthcare tourism. AirAsia.com, the digital platform of budget airline AirAsia Group Berhad, said it flew its first medical charter flight to Pulau Pinang from the Indonesian city of Medan on Friday, with another charter from Jakarta scheduled for next Monday. Pulau Pinang authorities have also ordered all agencies related to health tourism to provide notifications and information. Maybank has been named the world's best consumer digital banks in Malaysia and Indonesia as the round 1 winners for Global Finance's 2020 World's Best Consumer Digital Banks Awards in Asia Pacific. In a statement released today, Global Finance said the round 1 winners included Best Consumer Digital Banks, Best Corporate Institutional Digital Banks, and the Best Islamic Digital Banks at the country level. The statement also said that the winners were selected in Africa, Asia Pacific, Central and Eastern Europe, Latin America, the Middle East, North America and Western Europe. Also announced today were regional winners in subcategories such as Best Information Security and Fraud Management, Best Mobile Banking App and Most Innovative Digital Bank, of which Maybank has secured the Best Website Design Award. Global Finance said winners were chosen from entries evaluated by a world-class panel of judges at Infosys, a global leader in consulting, technology and outsourcing, while the editors of Global Finance were responsible for the final selection of all winners. It also noted that only banks that entered the competition were considered for awards, and awards were only given in those regions, countries and categories in which there were entries. The winning this evening, in our top stories, Sabah state election set for 26 September. Join us for updates at noon at 12:30 tomorrow. Till then, I'm Brenda Paul. Thanks for watching. Good night.